Welcome back to another episode of Catch This Now. This podcast is all about providing engaging topics that will educate you so you are enlightened with the tools and techniques that you can use to do the work on your journey to being the best version of yourself. I am your host, Tiffany Hodge, LMSW, and founder of Tiffany Empowers. And my hope is that you catch all of this now so you won't get caught up with it later. Let's do the work. All right. Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Pharaoh, how are you?
I'm also doing well.
You're also doing. This is just gonna be a fun conversation. So before we get started, I want everybody to just take a deep breath in and blow it out. Happy Sunday. And that's how we're going to start this session talking about love and marriage and relationships and God and all the things that y'all want to discuss. Thank y'all for taking the time to be on my podcast and joining us. So, for those that don't know, these are my friends. Yes, this is Pharaoh and Trina McMillian, and they are such a beautiful couple that I admire. And when I thought about doing the couples conversation, I said, I gotta get Trina and Pharaoh on to talk about love and marriage and everything that they want to talk about. So when they said they would do it, it was an honor. So here we are. So introducing to my podcast audience, the McMillan.
McMillian.
So
Hey, y'all.
what's up? What's up,
Hey,
y'all?
how you doing? Yep.
Good. Y'all
I'm.
doing all right?
We
We
are.
doing all right. We doing all right. So,
Yeah.
how's the weather over there?
It is what it is. It's raining. What about on y'all side over there in Russia?
Raining over here.
Raining. Yeah. Pretty. Yeah. I think it's supposed to rain for the next couple days.
Ooh.
So we're gonna see. We are going to see. I'm not gonna hold y'all long. We're gonna get right into it, and I cannot wait to hear this discussion. Please answer as open and honestly as you can because people are listening. You don't think people are listening, but people really are. And your wisdom and the value all that you all have, I think it needs to be heard and shared. So we're going to start off with just saying, if you could share with our audience and me a glimpse into your love story, like what would you want to share with us about your love and how did it start? How did y'all get here? Just glimpsing.
Um,
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Pharaoh and I met at church.
Okay.
We met at church.
Before the ice cream.
It's been a little over 10 years ago. Um, Actually, we didn't meet at church the first time, but he doesn't remember this. We met when his oldest daughter, my youngest daughter, went to the same school and they had what is it, like a
A
play or
war. Yeah,
something?
they was doing some
They
type
were
of
doing
assembly.
something.
Uh-huh.
And we were both married to other people at the time. And I was in the car waiting for Ariah's dad to come. And I was like, I'm just going to go inside without him.
Mhm.
And I'll save a seat for him. So I go to the door, and Pharaoh is there, and he lets his previous wife in the door, and then he holds the door for me, and I walk in. We won't talk about what happened after that, but
Just
uh,
glimpsing.
yeah,
Glimpsing.
we sat down. Ariah's dad came, my ex husband, and I told him what was going on, and he had a whole conversation with Pharaoh.
Oh wow.
And maybe 2, 3 months later, we went to visit this church, and I immediately saw Pharaoh and was like, "That's the crazy couple." So
See, but you can't say crazy
I
without going
can't.
into
We can't.
what happened at the first
So
meeting.
his previous wife
So we.
had a whole meltdown because he held this
Oh.
door. Like he
Oh.
just held the door. That was it. He just held the door, and
Holding
she
the door for strangers.
flipped out. And so
Holding the door
they
for
were
strangers.
so crazy, and they ended up being in the same church with us.
Yep.
Wow.
So I was going through divorce and no one in church knew. And Pharaoh was also going through divorce and no one knew in the church. So what, like, I think I had been divorced maybe 2 years.
Yeah, I believe so.
Probably I had been separated and separated a year, divorced a year.
Okay.
Uh, before we ever kind of connected.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I was
Awesome.
separated for a
You were
while.
separated. Mm-hmm.
And we have, because of the church, we have mutual friends now because of the community in the church. And so our mutual friend was like, and she would talk to her and be like, "Hey, why don't you go talk to Pharaoh?" And then would talk to me and be like, "Hey, why don't you go talk to Trina?" And neither one of us was feeling that.
Nope.
Like, nah,
Absolutely
keep it
not.
church. Just leave
Not
it at
my
that.
type.
Uh-uh.
Keep talking, that's it. Straight
Yep.
nerd, not with it.
Not with it.
Not with it.
And he turned out to be more than just a nerd.
Yeah. Look at this.
She was relentless. Our mutual friend was all about it.
Yeah.
Really?
This is it.
All
Y'all
about
should
it.
do it.
She's
And
setting up stuff to get
yeah.
us in the same room outside of church.
And it's so crazy because my sister met her
Mhm.
like 2 hours away from where we lived, and she
Mhm.
invited my sister to the church. So that's how I got to that church.
Wow.
Talk about divine connection. Huh?
Talk about divine
Yep.
connection.
And I
That
got
is interesting.
I
Say that
got to
again, Pharaoh.
our mutual friend, right?
The
I got
same
to the
friend.
church from I knew her husband because we were both stationed together a long time ago. And so we had played on the same basketball team for some years. And I knew her because of him. And so
Mm.
when I saw that he was in the area and then I met his family and this is, they met my previous wife and everything. And his wife was like, or her husband was like, "Hey, you should come to the church with us. It's a cool church. It's nice. It's this, it's this, it's this." And we were like, "Sure, we'll give it a try." And then we started, that's how we ended up at the church. So our mutual friend, her husband, and her sister all kind of
All from this one girl, Jacinta. Hey, Jacinta.
Hey, Jacinta. Shout out to Jacinta. Okay. Doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
Well done, Jacinta. That is awesome. And look at y'all today. That is
and
it's
now we gotta get the ice
amazing.
cream now. Now the ice cream.
Now the ice cream, Pharaoh. Tell us
All
about
right.
this ice cream.
So the first date was like, and this is how I remember it, because two sides to every story. So first date, she was like, "Hey, you want to go and get ice cream?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's harmless enough, ice cream, right?" And she's like, "We're gonna go to this place called Sweet Frog." I was like, "What is that?" Never heard of Sweet Frog before. Have you heard of
Shelter.
No. Trina knows some places, honey.
She knows some places. She knows some places.
She
So
knows
anyway,
some places.
we went to Sweet Frog, and it's a frozen yogurt custard ice cream place, and you can get the sprinkles and the toppings and all that. And she had like this favorite tart and tart ice cream and something else with the syrupy walnuts on it.
Strawberries and walnuts.
Oh my goodness! So we went there, and I loved it. And she was like, "I'm gonna buy it for you." And that's probably the first time anybody had ever bought me something in a
Oh,
long time.
wow.
Other than like my boys, like my road dogs, they would buy stuff on birthdays and things. But it's like the first time anybody outside of my circle had bought me.
Mm.
And I
Isn't
just
that
thought that
sweet?
was cool. It was cool enough for me to be like, "You want to go get ice cream again?"
It's the small gestures. It's those small things that really, it just plucks at your heartstring. It's
Yep.
like, oh man, because it's thoughtful. And yeah, that's awesome.
The ice
Ice
cream,
cream.
it hooked me. I
That's all it took, y'all.
was like,
Was
"Listen."
That's all. I just knew he was broke. I was doing just fine. You know,
I could
I
buy
was
some
doing
ice cream.
fine. Everyone thinks, oh, well, Pharaoh, military, he
Oh
was
my
great.
gosh.
No, he was broke.
Yeah.
I was a thriving hairstylist, no problems in the financial situation.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, let me take my new little broke friend to get some ice cream.
It was the best ice cream ever.
Was
Really,
it?
he said, let's go to ice cream because I used to like just talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like, that's not something big. That's something small we can do. And
Yeah.
just talk.
Right.
So that,
Getting to know him,
Right.
during that time. And that sometimes again it's just those small settings, it's those small things that you really get a chance to meet the person.
Right.
Sometimes when we go on all these elaborate dates and all this stuff, you're so glamorized by it, you miss the person because you're so glamorized by the environment. So when you
mhm.
make it small, you keep it very intimate, you really get a chance to know the person, have that conversation, and really see the true and the purity of a person. So both of you benefited from that one little, what was it called? Sugar frog?
Sugar
Sweet
frog.
frog.
Sweet frog. I was like, where is a sugar frog?
The
Sweet.
advertisement.
I
That's the
know.
thing.
Yeah, shout out, endorse me, people. But anyway, that moment, you know, uh, got you all here. And that's beautiful. And a lot of times, a lot of people, when I ask them about their story, it's just that it's these small little whimsical things that happen. It's never really what we think, like when we watch Beauty and the Beast or all the fairy tales, like Princess and the Frog. It's never anything like that. It's always these little, what we would consider little, but these wonderful moments um that brought us together. And so it's good that you both can remember that, because some people do have a hard time even remembering, like, how did we meet? Where was it? So that's awesome that you all uh, captured your love right there, and to see y'all talk about it and laugh, and to see where you are today is awesomely amazing. I know that you both admire each other. I've spent time talking to you both. Um, but I want you to, if you would, share with us one thing or two, or how many ever you desire, that you admire about each other. Pharaoh, you go first.
Trina's a huge giver, compassionate thinking type of person. Like she's
Mhm.
always considering what's the best gift to give somebody, what's the best way to show somebody appreciation. So I ain't got that. That's totally not me. I'll be like, here's something that I thought about. But Trina goes like she'll go do the investigative mile and be like, okay, I know that this person likes this particular thing in this particular way. It has to be presented like this. They'll love it, and she's batting 1,000 right now.
Mhm.
So she hadn't
She,
missed a beat on any of her gifts to anybody. So
that's awesome.
I wish I had that, but I got it right here anyway.
Eh,
So
You got it, Miss
Okay.
Trina.
Well, look at you. So the thing that I most admire about Pharaoh is he is so patient. I am like a bull in a china shop. And it is when I am mad, it is hard to reel me back in. But Pharaoh's always like, don't get offended. Look at it from their perspective. Calm down. It's not that serious. And I'm like on 10. And he's like, no, just chill out. A lot of times prayer helps me do that too. When he's not home, I'll pray. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times when he is home, I'll pray. But still sometimes I'm like, yo, I'm about to flip out. I'm about to lose all the God that's in me right now. Like that old Trina is on her way. So he
Oh
is
Lord.
he is patient with kids. He is patient when people do him wrong. Like I cannot stand for someone to talk crazy to Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
And he is so patient. And in my head, I'd be like, I'm ready to go to these folks' house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, just calm down. It's okay. So that is probably the yin to my yang. Like he is so patient.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous sometimes, but I do appreciate that because it's probably kept me out of jail.
not jail. Oh my gosh. Trina's like, if you go to jail, I ain't wait.
Listen,
Don't go to
I don't.
jail.
If I go to jail, we don't lose anything, right? If he goes
Right.
to jail, that's a different story. But what I do, I can go to jail. I can have a charge, but I'm trying to stay close to the cross.
Trying to stay close to the cross. I
And he
love that
really knows
both of you have that really good, like, giver patient. That is like, it's beautiful, to be able to identify your strong suits and being able to lean on each other in those moments, knowing that, I don't have to literally have the patience because this is m- who God has given me to give me that grace to calm me down. So the things that I lack in, he is sufficient in, and I'll lean on that. And I don't have the shopping giver spirit, to learn people and to understand what a good gift may be, but she does. So I let her handle it, and that's the gift that she has that God has given her, and I'm gonna let her do that. And so complimenting that and not trying to overstep each other, understanding where you are in that is amazing. And I think it helps in the marriage when we are able to admire um, things in our partners. I think a lot of times we we can pick out what we don't like real quick, you know. But to really sit down and say, I admire you in this way, it opens up that love and it takes us back to that glimpse of where we started, and it keeps us forever present in that love. Pharaoh, you were saying something. What was that?
I was saying it's easy for people to find something to be mad about. Like it's
Hmm.
so simple to do, but the same energy you can find something to be happy about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we know marriages aren't always glimpses of love and butterflies and what we admire about each other. So challenges do come. And what has been one of the biggest challenges that you all are willing to share um, during your marriage? Oh, hey, you share it. It's yours to share. Um, but that both of you are comfortable with sharing. What's one of those challenges that you have, and how did you all, you know, not allow it to, protract or expand longer than it was supposed to? How do you all handle that when it comes to your marriage?
Can we talk about? Let me ask. I
Feel
got to get
go
permission
ahead,
first.
go ahead, feel
Yeah,
free.
get permission.
The middle
Ardon?
one.
Oh yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
so so our middle kid, my oldest biological child.
we have 5 kids.
Hmm.
So
They are 24, or no, 23 about to be 20, 20 about to be 21, 18, 17,
17.
and 14.
All right, praise the Lord.
Okay, the middle
The
one.
middle one.
The one
It's
about to be
something with
13.
these middle children.
She is 18.
She is
She's
18.
18. Praise the Lord.
So she has, and kids who go through divorce. Look, don't let. I'm not a psychologist, but it changes the young people. Like something happens with them.
It is very hard for
They have to
kids.
deal with they have to deal with what happens with their parents, but they don't understand what's happening with their parents. They see something's not right. So I'm going to kind of blame it on that, and then I'm going to kind of blame it on her own choices too.
Okay.
So she's always had a problem adjusting to this blended family with all of us, except for her biological brother. So it's kind of like she withdrew, even though we were all getting closer together and having fun and talking and doing events and doing things and birthday parties. And, as parents, you try to be, as Pastor said last night, equitable to all the kids. Like you don't want to make, if we get this one a big wheel, you don't get them all big wheels because that's not even, you got an 18-year-old. They don't need a big
Hmm.
wheel, right? So you make it equitable, something that they want, something they would enjoy, something that they like, things like that. So the middle daughter never seemed to connect that that's what we were doing. She always compared herself to what everybody else was getting, no matter what it was. So if I got one of them a piece of candy, she wouldn't even have to like the candy. She hated that somebody got something that she did all the time on birthdays. What about my birthday? It's coming up soon. Like Christmas, what about my gifts? They got a big box. Where's mine? Like it was always something she was comparing. So in that, she acted out a lot because of this. And in her acting out, then you would see the conflict between me and Trina because I'm like, we could wait it out. We could be patient. She'll grow out of it. She'll do this. And then Trina was like, nope, this is it. This is the last straw. This is like she say, bull in a china shop. So it was a situation where for me, it's like I'm trying to choose my daughter or my wife, daughter or my wife. And I'm like, man, which way is the right way? And so today I can say there is no right way. You just have to be like, there's a consequence to whichever way you choose. Which do you want to live with? So I told my daughter that I was putting her out. She had to go.
Mm-hmm.
So let me back up. Like I said, we've been going to church together. You know, we met in church. So
Mm-hmm.
the pastor that was there, she told me, now everyone that knows me knows I don't like kids.
Mm-hmm.
So she came to me and she said, God says there's something for you in children's ministry. It's going to benefit your family. And I'm like, I know she can hear from God, but I'm like, this lady just needs somebody to work in children's church. So um, I was head of hospitality at the time, and I ended up being a teacher in children's church, and I used to teach Pharaoh's kids in children's church. So she has known me since she was 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She's known me
Yeah.
for a long time.
Long time.
So when Pharaoh and I started dating, my youngest daughter and his oldest daughter are a year apart. They're very close. They've been going to church, playing in children's church, all the above. So when the divorce became real, it was, I mean, they had been separated for years. They had been separated for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So they had already been living apart, but I think all kids have that little bit of hope that, you know, mom and dad will get back together. Even my,
Mm-hmm.
after I was separated and my ex-husband was remarried, they still had that little bit of it's going to work or something's not going to work back there and they'll get back together. I think they all had that. I just think she had an issue adjusting to reality.
Mm-hmm.
All of the other kids adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
We have we don't have those kinds of issues. So I think that created blending the family was okay. Blending the daughter, which is a part of the family, created a whole nother situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it blending our family has probably been one of the hardest things for our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, we had all five kids living with us. Pharaoh had full custody, I had full custody. So there was no, oh, well, you're going to see your parents every weekend. No, we had them all the time. And then we lived far away from their biological parents. So it was, you'll see them during the summer or you'll
Right.
see them major holidays.
Right.
So 90% of the time, it was Pharaoh, I, and five kids.
Mm-hmm.
He works, I work, they all go to school, but we always took family vacations. We did everything like it was just two kids here, but we had five.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really, I think, challenging to have that one that always had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that created a lot of friction between us. So Pharaoh wants to be patient, but the bull in the china shop is like, yo,
Right.
this is ridiculous. We have to do something. Like, I'm going to be in jail. And
Mm-hmm.
then everybody, you know, we have other kids to think about. You know, one kid cannot run the whole show. Like, the whole house is in turmoil because of one person.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't that we just put her out. It was that we had to transition her to somewhere to where, you know, we could have peace.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, we put her out. She is not here. She
But
just
we also have two other kids that aren't here. They just transitioned in a different way.
Yeah.
the regular way.
The regular way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
older, moved out kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It takes
I
some.
I think it takes a lot to have to come to that realization that, you know, who we love and who we want to support, we have to just do it over there,
Right.
because our marriage, um, and, sometimes we do have to make these choices, forsaking all others,
Mhm.
and sometimes we don't think about our children as those people that sometimes we have to put over there to keep peace here. And a lot of people don't make those choices. So I applaud y'all for even being able to um, realize that this unification, it's not saying it's more important. I don't want to minimize your daughter, but this is what we gotta hold on to this, because God will do what He's supposed to do on that end.
Right.
We've done what we could, and we're here. We're still supporting her. We love her. We do whatever we need to do, but you just can't do it. We can't do it right here.
Right.
Can't do it right here.
I mean,
But
it's
we,
a lot to. It is a lot, when we have things and she's not here, but we
yeah,
have, we go visit her. We have, she's not in the state.
right.
She's with, Pharaoh's mom.
Right.
Hmm.
But supporting and still trying to guide someone who's not there and who really doesn't just, they just want to do their own thing.
Right.
Because they just want to be, you know, I don't even want to say she wants to be disobedient. I think she wants to be right.
Hmm.
So I just think that has really changed. I guess that's really changed our marriage, with how we deal with conflict with each other and how we deal with conflict with the kids, the
Hmm.
other kids. They're like, yo, you not giving me a chance. You know, I'm not trying to do all of that, but you like have your foot, in my back.
Right.
And I'm like, well, this is that's what happens when you have a sibling that shows out. Your parents are more cautious with the rest of the siblings.
Right.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's probably the blending the family has probably been the biggest issue. Yeah. And the fact that, like I said, they have other parents, right? So when
Hmm.
they would see those other parents and they're saying something like my kids, they could go see their dad and he could say something and they're like, no, I'm there every day. That's contrary to what I see, not what
Hmm.
you're telling me. But she would believe something else and she's there seeing it. Like
Right.
you're seeing the opposite. But
Hmm.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
blending families are hard. If you have someone that you want to blend with, if they have kids, you think one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 times about it because it's not going to be easy.
Not
Yeah.
easy.
It's not easy.
I would say it's totally worth it.
Okay.
So I would not say for as hard as it is,
All this I've
because
been
it's
through.
still.
Oh, he better say it's worth.
I mean, we're talking to the people.
The people need to know it's
People
not
need to
easy,
know
y'all.
it is not easy, but that's not to say that it's not ever worth it,
Right,
because
Right.
because children still need two parents.
right,
They still need to see what a mother looks like and a father looks like, and then they need to see what a proper relationship looks like. Otherwise, what are they modeling when they grow up and have their own relationships? So if they don't see two people working through stuff, then they'll
hmm,
never learn to work through stuff.
right,
Hmm.
So it's worth it. Maybe for yourself, it's worth it, and grow in your character, grow in your patience, grow in your understanding of your family and your dynamics. But it's worth it for the children because you're investing in them. They're gonna turn out just like you show them. So whatever you show them, that's what they're gonna do.
That's what they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna do. Awesome. Thank y'all for sharing that, being so willing to share. That's I think that's good advice for myself and the audience, because blending family is. I don't think people think about you just see it and you're like, oh, they did a great job. It's blended, but they don't know.
Yeah, and kids will try to play you.
Yep.
Mhm.
They will they
Hmm.
they like to play both sides.
Hmm. And I like how both of you still getting back to your patience and your give. You give, even though you may be good at giving tangible gifts. You gave, like, look, we got to do something. You gave another alternative that we have to do something because sometimes we can be really patient because we love people and that's our children. And, we want the best for them, but sometimes we have to get that giver that's just going to give us the info and be like, hey, we got to do something a little different. I'm a big proponent with these kids because I believe once the house is cleared, because it will get cleared,
Hmm.
it's
Will
just
get
you.
yeah.
That's it.
That's it. They're gonna go and they're gonna make families for themselves, and then you're still sitting there. And if you hadn't made a decision on this particular challenge, when the house is cleared, that challenge is still sitting there. But because you made a decision, no matter how tough it may have looked on the outside world, um, when everybody's clear, y'all are clear, and y'all can really, really enjoy the stillness and the quiet of just where you are with the two of you. So kudos to y'all for making tough adult decisions. That's what adulting is, which nobody wants to do these days. I don't know how you turn adulting off. Maybe I need to get somebody to tell me how to do it.
Can't
But
turn it.
we real adults on this on this podcast and we can't turn it off. But
Out in the streets.
in every challenge, there are some best parts. What is one of the best? You talked about it all being worth it. What's another? Because I think that's a beautiful segue into what is the best part of your marriage that you were willing to share with the audience today. I hope you all have enjoyed the first session with the McMillians. It is an honor to have them be special guests and be so open and honest about their dating, into their marriage, into challenges. So I hope you all have your notifications on. You have subscribed so you know that when we come back on next week, we are going to wrap it up with them, and I don't want you to miss it. Also, keep in mind that I would love to continue to connect with you outside of this podcast. So you can join my monthly newsletter by visiting my website at www.tiffanyempowers.me. You can also find me on all social media platforms just by searching my name, Tiffany Empowers, and I should come up, right? Until next time, I want you to stay engaged, continue to educate yourself, and embrace the enlightenment as it comes.